Margaret Grayson was the epitome of elegance. At 62 years old, she was a well-known philanthropist, adored by her community for her generosity and poise. Widowed to Charles Grayson, a successful banker, she lived in the sprawling Grayson Manor, a mansion nestled in the hills just outside the small town of Brookhaven. To outsiders, Margaret led an enviable life of wealth and respect. But that image shattered when her lifeless body was discovered at the foot of the grand staircase in her home. The initial assumption was that Margaret's death was an accident. The housekeeper, Maria, had arrived early that morning to find her employer lying at the bottom of the stairs, her neck twisted unnaturally. The ornate railing was broken, and a faint trail of blood led up the steps. Maria called the police in a panic, but by the time they arrived, the mystery had already begun to unravel. What seemed like a tragic fall quickly turned into a chilling murder investigation. Grayson Manor was both a symbol of wealth and a fortress of secrets. The police scoured the scene and found troubling clues. The damage to the railing appeared deliberate, as if it had been tampered with. A small shard of glass was found embedded in Margaret's hand, and an overturned vase lay shattered near the top of the stairs. Even more puzzling was the faint scent of a strong, unfamiliar cologne lingering in the air. The autopsy report confirmed that Margaret had been pushed down the stairs. The bruises on her arms suggested she had struggled before her death. But who would kill the beloved widow and why? That question would haunt the town as investigators dove into the tangled web of Margaret's life. As the investigation unfolded, 4 primary suspects emerged, each with a motive tied to Margaret's complicated relationships and hidden secrets. Margaret's only child, Edward, had a troubled past. After years of bad investments and reckless spending, he had distanced himself from his mother when she refused to bail him out of financial ruin. Witnesses claimed Edward had been seen arguing with Margaret at a charity gala just days before her death. Did his desperation for money drive him to murder? Helen had been Margaret's partner in a non-profit organization, but tensions had risen between them over the past year. Rumors swirled that Margaret was planning to dissolve their partnership, citing concerns over financial mismanagement. Helen, known for her fiery temper, had everything to lose if Margaret went through with it. Maria had worked for Margaret for over a decade and was fiercely loyal, or so it seemed, but police discovered that Margaret had recently confronted Maria about missing valuables in the house. A heated argument reportedly took place just weeks before the murder. Did Maria fear losing her job and act out of desperation? The biggest shock came when investigators uncovered Margaret's relationship with George Calloway, a mysterious man nearly 20 years her junior. George had a shady history of dating wealthy older women and leaving them financially drained. A letter found in Margaret's study suggested she was about to cut him off, writing, "I know your true intentions. This ends now." Investigators pieced together a timeline based on interviews, physical evidence, and forensic analysis. Margaret's death occurred sometime between 10:30 p.m. and 11 p.m. Her phone records showed she had made a single call at 10:15 p.m., but the recipient's number was unregistered, adding another layer of mystery. Surveillance footage from the property showed a car leaving Grayson Manor shortly after 11 p.m., but the license plate was obscured. In the meantime, detectives made several unsettling discoveries. A pair of gloves, still damp with cleaning fluid, was found near the back entrance of the house. The shard of glass in Margaret's hand came from the shattered vase, suggesting a struggle at the top of the stairs. A handwritten note in Margaret's safe read, "Trust no one, not even those closest to you." Edward Grayson claimed he was at a bar the night of his mother's murder, but when police checked, no one could confirm seeing him there. Suspiciously, Edward had withdrawn a large sum of cash from his bank account earlier that week. He admitted he had been planning to visit Margaret to ask for financial help, but denied having any role in her death. Helen Monroe insisted she was at home, working late on documents for their nonprofit. However, a neighbor reported seeing her car parked near Grayson Manor that evening. Helen brushed it off as a misunderstanding, claiming she had simply driven by on her way to the grocery store. Maria Lopez was the only one at the scene when the police arrived. Her story remained consistent. She had gone to bed early after cleaning the house and found Margaret's body the next morning. However, detectives couldn't explain why her fingerprints were found on the gloves near the back door. George Calloway provided the most elaborate story. He admitted to being at Grayson Manor the night of the murder, but claimed he had only come to talk. He said Margaret had been upset, accusing him of using her, but he left after the argument and had no idea she was dead until the police contacted him. His alibi was shaky, and his financial records revealed he had drained Margaret's accounts of nearly $100,000 over the past year. The investigation stalled until a forensic analysis revealed that the gloves near the back entrance were soaked, not only in cleaning fluid but also in traces of blood. The fingerprints on them belonged to Maria, the housekeeper. Confronted with the evidence, Maria broke down and confessed to tampering with the crime scene but insisted she hadn't killed Margaret. She claimed she had discovered the body and panicked, fearing she would be blamed. This confession led investigators back to the timeline. If Maria hadn't killed Margaret, then who had? The answer came from an unlikely source, Margaret's phone records. The unregistered number she had called at 10:15 p.m. was traced to a burner phone found in Helen Monroe's possession. The message was clear: Margaret had called Helen that night. When confronted, Helen cracked. She admitted she had gone to Grayson Manor to confront Margaret about dissolving their partnership. Their argument turned heated, and in a moment of rage, Helen pushed Margaret, who fell against the vase before tumbling down the stairs. Realizing what she had done, Helen tampered with the railing to make the death look accidental. She hadn't counted on the glass shard or the gloves implicating others. Helen Monroe was arrested and later convicted of second-degree murder. Her motive, fear of losing her reputation and livelihood, had driven her to kill the woman who had once been her closest ally. Edward and George, while morally dubious, were cleared of any involvement in Margaret's death. Maria, though guilty of tampering with evidence, was given a reduced sentence in exchange for her cooperation. Brookhaven would never forget the tragic fall of Margaret Grayson. Her life, once seen as perfect, was revealed to be full of secrets and betrayals. But in the end, justice was served, and the widow's secret was finally laid to rest.